let's talk about Snake Eyes. I was actually really looking forward to Snake Eyes. I was. I'm a big GIJoe fan. I have said that, I think I said that even in the last video. There's sort of this unspoken law that if you're into action figures, you're only into a couple different things. There's guys who are, you can be into Power Rangers, you can be into Star Wars, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, horror movie stuff, wrestling, fucking superheroes. There's specific properties that you can be into. GIJoe is one of many. GIJoe, however, GIJoe has been gone for a long time though from the pop culture zeitgeist. Yes, there was Rise of Cobra and Retaliation, but other than that, there has not been a long-running GIJoe animated series in forever. There's not been a successful GIJoe movie in forever, both critically and commercially. There hasn't been a really awesome GIJoe action figure line until very, very recently. There was GIJoe Classified. And I'm talking about a bunch of things that aren't going to make any sense to somebody that's not already into action figures. Like, when I was a kid, there was GIJoe Venom vs. Valor, there was GIJoe vs. Cobra, and there was GIJoe Resolute. The GIJoe Real American Hero I was able to watch because of like reruns that were on DVDs and stuff. But GIJoe was something that, it was there in those early 2000s, but it wasn't as big as it was in the 80s, so not that many people my age are like really into GIJoe. It's not something that they've kept up with to continue to maintain relevancy. Transformers has. Marvel, DC, superheroes are doing just fucking fine. Power Rangers, I think, has maintained relevancy because they've continued to do new series every now and again. Ninja Turtles is just fine. But GIJoe is that one that just, they missed this window that they didn't keep up with. Masters of the Universe kind of did that too, but they're recently coming back pretty strong. As a person who collects all of these things, like I keep looking over here because I have this giant action figure shelf that I'm sure you've seen in a lot of my videos, and in grand scheme of things, it's not that big, but it's like a lot of pieces that are sentimental and personal to me, and I still like to buy a lot. GIJoe, I liquidated a lot of my 3 3/4 inch guys into just being my 6-inch classified guys because GIJoe is not something I'm super into, but I am a fan of it. Specifically, when I was a kid, the things that I liked the most was Cobra Commander. For some reason, he's like my favorite character. I'm super fixated on him. I just think he's so funny. And then Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I loved the ninja stuff in GIJoe, but now here's the thing you gotta talk about, is that GIJoe fundamentally has no core fan base. Seriously. If you go talk to GIJoe fans, you are gonna find such a wide range of people. There's people like me who just said, you know, like, oh, well, I had them when I was younger and I like them. It's not something I'm super into. And if you gave me a quiz, I could name quite a few characters, but I can't name complex backstories. I don't know much of the Larry Hama stuff from the comic books. I've read some, but it's a comic book I don't read a whole lot, even though I do read comics. It's just one that I never really got into. But then you're gonna talk to a guy that he knows the Larry Hama shit like the back of his hand, and that was GIJoe to him, and anything other than that is sacrilegious. You're gonna talk to a guy who grew up with the cartoon, and anything else is sacrilegious. And that's basically the GIJoe fans, okay? And then you're gonna talk to some people who, like, really old people, remember GIJoe as being fucking this guy. This is a GIJoe, okay? This was my GIJoe when I was a kid, and this is what they all were. Because when I got this guy first, and I never had another guy until I got this Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow 2-pack that was dolls like this, okay? And it came with a DVD of GIJoe fucking Spy Troops, I want to say. Does anybody remember that movie? I don't think you do, but it was awesome when I was a kid. This brand is not strong. It's on its last legs. It's weak, is what I'm saying. Transformers was a big hit. I know everyone likes to shit on it. It made money, and so did the second one, and so did the third one, and so did the fourth one. These movies are successful. They're hugely successful. Paramount really wanted GIJoe Rise of Cobra to be a Transformers. They wanted it to be so fucking huge and then sell tons of fucking toys, and it didn't. It didn't resonate with kids anymore. Why that is, I genuinely don't know, because when Rise of Cobra came out, I was super into that movie. It had Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow, and Baroness, and Scarlet, and Duke, and Heavy Duty, and Shipwreck. Well, he had an action figure, but he wasn't in the movie. I don't know what it was that it makes the G.I. Joe nut so hard to crack, okay? And I know this is a lot of preface to get into Snake Eyes, but I think this is relevant to bring up because Snake Eyes fucking bombed. It ate shit, and that is probably the last time we will be seeing G.I. Joe on the big screen. I'm fucking serious, at least for a long time, and it is this movie's fault. But it's a complex issue, okay? This movie was directed by Robert Schwentke. Schwentke is a German film director, and he's also a screenwriter. So he was not a writer on Snake Eyes, but he did direct it. Now, I'm going to list you some of his other films, and I'm going to tell you which one of these you think was what qualified him to do Snake Eyes, a martial arts heavy ninja film set in a pre-established universe of G.I. Joe canon. He did Flight Plan, starring Jodie Foster, I'm pretty sure. You got The Time Traveler's Wife, super solid action film. Lots of action in that movie. That was like the John Wick of its day. Red. Any Red fans in the house? Anybody like Red? You big fan of Red? R.I.P.D. Oh boy, that was a hit. That was a hit, wasn't it? That movie, that was a slam dunk. The Divergent series, Insurgent. I don't know which one that is. I didn't read the books. I didn't see those movies. I'm a grown man. Okay, I don't do that stuff. The Divergent series, Allegiant, the even better sequel. And it was renowned for its top-notch action directing, wasn't it? It was a big hit. It was such a big hit, they canceled the fourth movie. They never made it. They just said, fuck it. Like, people care so little, let's just say fuck it and not do it again. Let's not continue what we already started. That is extremely relevant when talking about Snake Eyes. I was really looking forward to Snake Eyes. I think I'm the only person that was. When I first saw that trailer, I wasn't sold on the movie when it was being announced and news was coming out about it. They announced Henry Golding. Henry Golding is a very sexy man. But they kept saying, like, we want to have it be Snake Eyes without his helmet on. We want him to talk. It's like an origin story. Oh, fuck me. Like, that doesn't infuriate me, but I know it's going to infuriate those guys I was talking about earlier, because I've talked to G.I. Joe fans, and they are picky, stickler little bitches about every tiny little fucking change that you want to make. You can't change anything. Snake Eyes is supposed to be a fucking blonde Caucasian guy that was in a helicopter accident in Vietnam, and he became a ninja, and then Cobra Commander fucking T-boned his car and killed his son or some shit, and then they fight. And that's what happened in the Larry Hama comics, okay? But to those guys, that is scripture. You cannot change that. To me, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are ninja guys that were like really mad at each other and just fought all the time, and it was cool because they're ninjas, and one of them talked and one of them didn't. One of them was black, one of them was white. I was like, okay, you're not in good territory, you're gonna piss a lot of people off. I'm gonna continue to defend you though. I'm gonna wait and see till this trailer comes out. Trailer comes out, and the trailer really had me convinced, without knowing anything about the director, that this was gonna be a super fun, solid, lower budget, kind of almost John Wick-esque, stunt heavy, fight choreography heavy, like a lot of emphasis put on that stuff movie. Samara Weaving was added to the cast, who I love. She was in Ash vs. Evil Dead, she was in The Babysitter, she was in Mayhem, she was in Ready or Not. She's just great in everything. It's just nothing but home runs. Guns Akimbo, I love her in everything. She's so likable. She's great. She needs to get way more work. I thought this movie would really be a good breakout for her to get a lot more notoriety and be in a big kind of established franchise, playing an established character in Scarlet, who is my favorite Joe character, which I was like, great, she'll do great. Andrew Koji is playing Storm Shadow, and in all fairness, he does great in this movie. I think he's probably the best thing about the movie, even though he doesn't have a whole lot to do in the movie. Ursula Corbero was announced as playing Baroness. She fucking nails it. She fucking kills it. Henry Golding, while he's not playing the Snake Eyes that I recognize, he's doing a really good job. He's busting his ass. He went through extremely rigorous fight choreography, and they said that he like broke down in tears doing it. Like he was fucking busting his ass to give us the best performance he could as the super iconic ninja character, and to show us how he gets the helmet put on him. All these people, all these things It's just such a fucking bummer because I was a big defender of this movie. I guess I should say this movie sucks. It really sucks. I wanted to kind of play nice and say, no, it doesn't suck, it's just kind of bad. But fuck me, it sucks. Robert Schwentke is not an action director. Lorenzo di Bonaventura is his name, okay? He is the producer of this film. So therefore, I'm gonna blame this motherfucker because he's the one that picked that director. He clearly doesn't give a shit. He just badly wants to just smash it together and make it a Transformers movie. He wants it to be Transformers so badly. They try to replicate the success of smaller, quieter martial arts films with really good stunt work and really good fight choreography. And they can't fucking do it because they gave it to Robert Schwentke, who's not qualified to do this movie. The script is fucking terrible because they had no interest in doing masked, actual Snake Eyes. They're using that character to sell you a completely unrelated movie. Yes, Storm Shadow is in it. Yes, there are ninjas in it. Yes, Cobra is in it. Yes, Baroness is in it. And all of these pieces, they're fucking awfully close to looking like GIJoe, but they're not. I'm sorry, they're not. And it sucks because the hardcore GIJoe crowd that didn't want to give this movie a chance to begin with, unlike me, they are going to rip this fucking movie to shreds, and there's not going to be a goddamn thing I can say to this movie's defense because this movie shit this bed so hard. I want to read you a conversation that I found that I thought was super interesting between Lorenzo di Bonaventura and some fucking interviewer. I read this going into the movie, and it really highlighted the kind of hands that the GIJoe series is currently in. And how dire of a situation it really is. The interviewer will ask a question. This is like 4 questions in to this Lorenzo guy. And they say, hey, every time I see marketing for Snake Eyes, it's calling it a spin-off. Why isn't the fact it's a complete reboot put more out there? And he responds, I don't know how to answer that one, because I guess I don't know. I don't know why that hasn't gotten out there. That's his answer. They say, because you're spinning it off. I think that makes people think it's a spinning off from the other movies as opposed to starting something new. He says, well, it's probably too late for our messaging, but it's never too late. We'll work on that. That's verbatim what he said. That was his answer to that question. Why did you want to reboot after 2 movies? Well, he says, I think, first of all, as you know, really as a fan, Snake Eyes is the most popular character, and the dynamic between him and Storm Shadow is just too rich. And we thought that for the people who've grown up with it and know it, it's such an interesting experience. Actually see Snake Eyes and hear him talk. And so we felt like that was really a lot of new news for the fan base. These kind of answers show a fundamental fucking disconnect from what people like about the character of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, people like me like, and also just the core actual GIJoe fans like about these characters. This says, speaking of the fan base, do you worry they won't like Snake Eyes talking? To be fair, when I was a kid, before I read the comics, my Snake Eyes action figure had a lot to say. That was not true for me. Snake Eyes was masked, silent, ninja guy, Storm Shadow did the talking, but whatever. This guy says, what's great about having fans is they are so passionate, and what can be a burden is that they have a very strict interpretation of things at times. I just thought, first of all, it was really hard when he was in the GIJoe movies. He's really a hard character because he doesn't say anything, you know what I mean? And you can't see him. I thought that was the interesting part. What is going on under the helmet, and who is that guy? These are all things I never fucking wanted to know. And if you do know, the backstory they give in the fucking GIJoe Rise of Cobra movie, when I was a kid, so that movie came out in 2009, I would have been fucking 11. That was fine. I think my math is right there. I was born in 90. Anyway, I was like 11 or 12. That explanation was fine, and I never needed to, like, I just didn't want him to talk. That's what makes him cool, is he never shows his face, and he doesn't talk, and he's a fucking ninja guy. This movie has no interest in that. By the end of this movie, Snake Eyes is just now, like, the last shot of the movie is him fucking touching that visor and it going over and him speeding off on the motorcycle. He never loses his voice because they're saving it for a sequel that's not gonna fucking happen because this movie shit the bed so hard financially. Now you can say it's because, well, people just don't care about GIJoe. That's why the movie bombed. And that's probably true to an extent, but had you really busted your ass and handed this movie to people that gave a shit, not Robert Schwentke? Now, I'm not saying anything bad about the guy, but he just doesn't fucking care. You know he doesn't, because of the way he directed these fucking shaky ass, shit choreographed fight scenes. in a fucking ninja movie where the bulk of the plot is just by the numbers basic shit. It's so fucking generic and forgettable. The real meat and potatoes of it needed to be these fight scenes. And there's a lot of them, and they all are dog shit. There's not a single one that is fucking good. If you had really busted your ass, though, and had great fucking super stellar stunt work and fight scenes, and Henry Golding is really putting over in interviews that this isn't a CGI monstrosity, it's not a bunch of moving fucking digital parts, it's real actors doing real stunts, real danger, a lot of work put into it, and you can see that that was there, but that Schwentke had such little faith and such little understanding of how an action film works and how a martial arts film works, or of any of the characters he was actually directing, because the guy does not strike me as a humongous G.I. Joe fan. He strikes me as a fucking hired gun, just like this Lorenzo dipshit is. You can tell they didn't give a fuck. But had you gave it to somebody that did, and had really awesome action scenes, the movie would have longer legs, okay? Word would spread, hey, did you see the new Snake Eyes movie? It's really different from the actual character, but it's got really great fight scenes, really great action scenes, and then even though it only made $13 million its opening weekend, you'd have a John Wick on your hands, where it's a more quiet, thought-provoking movie with great, grounded, raw, heavy, weighty action scenes with clarity of movement, no fucking quick cut editing, shaky cam up in your face, dark, murky, CGI bullshit, which is the perfect description of this movie. It's all, even like conversations where nothing is fucking happening, it's like they couldn't afford a tripod, and it's just like shaking around. It's like the energy just can't be contained within the frame. And not to mention, like, a lot of characters just, like, fucking vanish from the movie, like Storm Shadow. The structure's garbage. Scarlet, played by Samara Weaving, she's trying her best, but they're giving her nothing to fucking work with. I forget hardly anything she said in the movie because she does nothing. And they're setting it up for, like I said, sequels that aren't gonna happen because this movie shit the fucking bed. Let's read some more of this fucking conversation. Oh, God. This guy's talking about Snake Eyes. This is the interviewer who starts. He says, they say, he worked well in the comics with Larry Hama writing him, but even in the cartoon, he didn't do much. It was all Duke and Shipwreck and that parrot, so the interviewer doesn't know a whole lot either. And Lorenzo says, that parrot cracks me up. They say, I'm going to take that as a hint that the parrot is the next origin story, obviously joking. He says, yeah, that would be funny. No, we actually wrote a script now that I'm remembering it. I'll think about it while we're talking, because we did try a G.I. Joe script. Let me think. I have a distant memory coming, but I don't have it. This is the actual interview. They say, it sounds like an interesting statement. I want to hear it. He says, there's a couple things we have in development right now for GIJoe, which is not really origin stories. None of these things are going to happen, by the way, because this movie sucks so fucking hard. It is, and it isn't. But what is interesting is it takes a G.I. Joe and essentially brands him a traitor. And then the story is, how do he prove he's not? And what I liked about that idea was how personal it was. I think that was the goal of Snake Eyes, to find a size of a movie that made you go, okay, we have time to develop the character. The burden of spending a lot of money is that it demands a different kind of movie. In this case, relatively speaking in Hollywood terms, it's a middle-priced movie that allows you to spend time with the character and really explore what's driving this guy. From a character standpoint, I see what he's saying there with this movie, but like I said, the action is so terrible that doesn't fucking matter. And he's saying, like, well, we want a smaller movie that doesn't cost a lot, so it'll just recuperate all in that first weekend, and then we can just throw it to the fucking side. And then they wonder why nothing's sticking, because they're just throwing whatever at the wall and none of it's fucking sticking because they don't give a shit. They didn't give the movie any legs because it was like a trick. It was a con. Like, you go see it expecting a fucking awesome martial arts movie, and it fucking sucks. It sucks. It is a fucking bad movie. And I don't blame Golding or Koji or Weaving or Corbero or anybody else that really busted their ass. Iko Uwais is in the movie. He busts his ass as usual, and I can tell they are. And Schwentke and Bonaventura let them down. Fuck them. Fuck Bonaventura. Schwentke, he doesn't care. He's just a hired gun. So I had nothing against him. But this guy just doesn't fucking care. He does not fucking care. He fundamentally doesn't understand these characters. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't want to learn how to give a fuck or learn how to understand them. He just wants a movie that's going to make its money in its opening weekend, so he hires anybody he can get that's cheap, that's reliable, that will get it done within a certain finished date. They don't care about respecting the source material, about adapting the character properly, any of that. And they had a really good actor on their hands that could have done it. And by the end of this movie, had it been a lot of great fight scenes and a more cohesive story, with characters that they actually did develop pretty well. I was on the side of the characters by the end of the movie. But if I wasn't already a G.I. Joe fan, would I have been? Because I went and saw this movie with people who weren't, okay? With one person who wasn't. And I asked them afterwards, like, what'd you think of that movie? And they're like, I don't know, I just didn't really know what the hell was going on. Baroness and Scarlet are like throwing digs at one another, like there's history there, and then they team up and it's like this big deal. But there's not another movie yet. Yeah, there was those other two, but those don't count anymore, and this guy just fucking forgot to tell everybody, because he doesn't give a fuck, okay? And then he wonders why the movie fucking bombs. It's so, like, misguided. Not even misguided, there just isn't any guidance. It's just do whatever the fuck you want. Oh, it failed? Well, I guess people don't like G.I. Joe. It's not because we made 3 consecutively dog shit movies. I didn't even hate those other 2 movies. I didn't hate them. There was good there. I think they nailed a lot of things about them. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes in that first movie were great. They carried over to the second movie and were just as great there. That's how you do them. And those movies did okay. They just needed a little bit more oomph and a little bit more finesse and somebody who actually gave a shit. And now they've cut it down even more, and they think just reducing the budget, they'll still make the same money because people recognize the character. But these characters aren't as Teflon as you think they are. You have to care about them. You have to give them the TLC, okay? The tender love and care that they need. When you don't, people forget. And that sucks. This is bumming me out because I'm looking at my G.I. Joes and I'm like, I'm gonna be part of the last generation that actually gives a shit about them. They've let this brand rot and die, and now this movie came out and bombed, and they're gonna say, oh, well, I guess that's just throw it in the trash. It's a shitty pair of underwear. We shit our undies, so now we're gonna throw them away because they're no good anymore. And they're gonna blame the underwear. It's like, no, you shit your own pants, dumbass. I don't even want to read more of this article. It's just bumming me out. Like I said, I'm not a reviewer, so I don't expect you to think that this is like a very in-depth criticism. I'm just telling you how I feel about these movies. And if you care about these characters or whatever, then by all means, like, let me know in the comments. Let's discuss G.I. Joe together. This doesn't have as a concrete of a fan base as people think it does, and it sucks. All G.I. Joe fans are like 40-something white dudes. There are obviously outliers. I'm a 23-year-old gay white guy. There are black fans. There are female fans. It's not as big as it possibly could be. And like, this is a comic book property. Comic book movies do big business now. If you give a shit, that's why Marvel does so well. People, like, shake their fists like, damn it, how did we do it? It's like, because they care. They care. I can tell they care. Oh, God. It's a bummer, man. I guess it's not a surprise to me. It's just a disappointment. I had hoped for better, I guess. And if you want to see more in-depth reviews about the movie itself, I recommend going to look into them. But like I said, I was really hyped for it. I wanted to give it every possible benefit. I went into it wanting to love it, and it let me down. So I can't even get angry about it other than angry at the dipshits that made it what it was. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Dante's Drive-In. New episodes of the Dante Grape Show proper will still be coming on a monthly basis. If you want to see my new episode, it's Heat Wave. It's on the channel. Go watch it. It's about a killer fish man. And that's about it. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you have a great night. Let me know a movie you want me to see. Let me know some movies that are coming out that you would like for me to see. I want to get a chance to see Candyman. I wrote down, actually, some of the shit I'm going to try and see. I'm going to try and see Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, Jungle Cruise, Candyman, Don't Breathe 2, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna try and see those for the next Dante's Drive-In. So once I've gotten a chance to watch all those movies, you'll see me again, okay?